What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. With summer around the corner, I think this is going to be a popular one. Today, I'm going to talk you through the scientific principles of exercise and nutrition that are going to help you build muscle while staying shredded at the same time. What this won't include is me telling you to do loads of running or high intensity cardio. It also won't include me giving you a strict, boring meal plan that you have to stick to every single day of the week. So in case you don't know who I am, my name is Doug. I've been a personal trainer and a nutritionist now for 6 years. And in that time, I've worked with well over 100 guys to help them achieve their goals, whether that's to lose fat, build muscle, or just generally feel a little bit better. I'm going to start with nutrition because I think when it comes to this topic, it's probably the most important one. No, it's not probably, it definitely is the most important one. The first thing we need to understand is what your maintenance calorie number is. So your maintenance calories, if you don't already know what that is the number of calories that you would need to consume just to stay the same. Your maintenance calorie number is pretty unique to you because it's made up of 4 physiological factors: your age, your weight, your height, and your sex. By understanding that, we can calculate what we call your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, the number of calories that you burn at rest, doing nothing. This is brain function, this is organ function, this is breathing. This is just the very rudimentary stuff. What we then do is then add a activity multiplier based on how active your lifestyle is, how active your work is, and how active you are when it comes to your exercise, when it comes to your walking, your steps. Now, when I work with my clients one-on-one, I use a pretty specific equation to calculate their exact maintenance calorie number, but obviously I'm not able to do that here. However, if you were to take your body weight in pounds, not in kilos, in pounds, and multiply it by 15, it's going to give you a pretty rough and ready, albeit slightly rudimentary equation, but it gives you a good start point. Now you know your maintenance calorie number. What we want to do is put you in a small calorie surplus, not a big one. The biggest mistake most guys make, and I have made this mistake before, is thinking that when it comes to building muscle, when it comes to bulking, they can just eat whatever they want under the sun and it's all well and good. The problem is if you eat in a huge calorie surplus, all your body is going to do is store that extra energy as fat. So you're not necessarily going to get any bigger or stronger, but you will definitely get fatter. So what we want to do is cap the calorie surplus that you are in by about 10%. So the very simple equation to calculate your calorie surplus so that you can build muscle while staying shredded at the same time is to take your maintenance calories and multiply it by 1.1. This is going to put you into a 10% calorie surplus, which tends to be the sweet spot. I remember when I was in my 20s, maybe mid to late 20s, long before I was a nutritionist and a personal trainer. And I decided I was going to bulk. I'd grown up the skinny kid and, I wanted to be bigger and stronger and I suppose just more respected, to be honest. And, I did it the classic way. It was like my excuse to just eat whatever I wanted. So what did I eat? Well, I just ate more of the stuff I loved, like chocolate and pasta and pizza. And if anybody asked, well, I was bulking, so it was fine. And sure enough, I gained 20 odd kilos and I did look bigger, but not in the way you want to look. I didn't look any more attractive. I didn't feel any more attractive. I wasn't any stronger. I actually, if anything, my health had deteriorated. And that's because all I'd done was just put on a load of fat. I'd been in a huge calorie surplus. I didn't even know what my maintenance calories were. I was just eating for England, to be honest. So calories aside, what else can you do on the nutrition front? Well, first and foremost, we need to make sure that you're eating a high protein diet for a couple of reasons. Protein is obviously very important when it comes to building muscle. But what protein also does is it helps to suppress your appetite. So it helps you to stave off from eating the junk. And that's kind of the next point. When you are in a small but controlled calorie surplus, the quality of your calories is going to matter more. And this is because you want to avoid inflammation, you want to avoid bloating, you want to avoid cravings, and you also want to make sure that you're sleeping well. We're going to come on to that later. So try as much as you can. Obviously, we're human, we're not perfect, so no one's expecting you to, and you don't need to be perfect, but try to avoid as much processed food as you can. Definitely try to avoid any trans fats. You hear about saturated fat getting a bad rep. There's actually no sort of problems when it comes to saturated fat as long as it's consumed within moderation versus unsaturated fat. The harmful fats are the trans fats, and trans fats are found in basically products that have very long shelf lives. So anything that you see in supermarkets, and if you look at the expiry date, it's like 3 years from now, that will be trans fats. Trans fats are literally man-made fats. So as much as you can, definitely stay away from those. And then last but not least is excessive sugar. I'm not going to tell you to cut sugar out because I haven't cut sugar out. I'd be a hypocrite to say that. But limiting it as much as you can is going to have a plethora, that's a big word for a Monday, it's going to have a plethora of benefits for your health. The last thing you want to do when it comes to your nutrition is making sure that you're eating a nutrient-dense diet with as much whole foods and high fiber foods as you can. So plenty of fruit and veg, dark chocolate, avocados, nuts, butter, all of this stuff are absolutely fantastic. It's going to keep your gut health in check. It's going to improve the relationship between your brain and your gut because 90%, 95% in some people of their serotonin is produced in their gut. The serotonin is sort of the feel-good hormone in the body, and you want to be feeling good like as much as you can, really. It's just a general rule of life. So nutrient-dense, whole food, high fiber, as much as you can is going to massively help. And it's also going to help reduce any inflammation and bloating as well. And then in terms of supplements, I would recommend creatine 100%. To be honest, I recommend creatine to everyone, man, woman, child, old person. It doesn't really matter. Creatine is probably the safest, most tested, widest available, and one of the cheapest supplements. Creatine monohydrate, 5 grams per day. The reason for this is that when we exercise, our muscles use something called ATP, which stands for adenosine triphosphate. But that ATP is broken down into ADP, adenosine diphosphate. Creatine helps us generate more power, and it does this by combining with phosphate in our muscles, in our blood, to form creatine phosphate. That creatine phosphate then donates the phosphate, the adenosine diphosphate, making it adenosine triphosphate again. Aside from that, whey protein, if you need it, if you're not able to get enough protein through whole foods, then absolutely whey protein is the way to go on that. Omega-3s help with cognitive function, help reduce inflammation, again, very useful. And vitamin D. There's a lot of links between vitamin D and testosterone production, and obviously testosterone production is going to help you to build muscle. Oh, and last but not least on the kind of semi-nutrition topic is to stay hydrated. This is very underrated. Not enough people are drinking enough water, but we need to understand that muscles need oxygen to contract, okay? If you want to lift heavier weights, if you want to build bigger muscles, you're going to need bigger contractions in your muscles, which means you're going to need more oxygen. We get a lot of our oxygen from water because it's H2O. So make sure you're staying hydrated so that the oxygen can be transported in your bloodstream to the muscular cells that need it for that muscular contraction. Okay, let's talk about exercise. So you need to understand that we're putting you in that calorie surplus so that you have an excess of energy. We don't want your body to store that energy because if you're storing that energy, it's just going to be stored as fat. You need to use that excess energy. And to do that, you want to be lifting some heavy weights. To build muscle, we need to put the muscles under stress and stimulus so that then they're broken down and they grow back bigger so that they've adapted, because your muscles assume if you've put them under that stress and stimulus that you're going to need to do that again. So your brain, your body is going to help you out here, but the next time they grow back, they're going to grow back bigger and stronger. But we also always want to make sure that we're never allowing our body to fully adapt. And this is why we want to bring in progressive overload, where over a period of time, you are increasing the amount of volume that you are lifting. And there's 3 ways to increase the amount of volume that you're lifting. You can increase the weight that you're lifting, you can increase the number of reps that you're doing, or you can increase the number of sets. A lot of people will think that they constantly have to be increasing the amount of weight that they're lifting, and that's, let's be honest, it's the most fun way, it's the coolest way to do it. But once you've been doing this for a while, you'll get to a point where you just cannot lift any more weight. And this is where you can bring in more reps, and then eventually you can bring in more sets. Now, if you're bringing in more sets, that's going to take significantly longer because you're going to have to incorporate more rest periods. And then obviously to do an extra set is going to take a lot longer than it is to just do a couple of extra reps per set. And then in terms of exercises and splits that you're doing, this somewhat depends on the number of days and the amount of time you can dedicate to your exercise, to your workouts. But what I would definitely do is prioritize the compound movements. So the compound movements are the multi-joint multi-muscle exercises. These exercises tend to use the biggest muscles as well. So think squats, deadlifts, leg presses, good mornings, bent over rows, bench press, lat pull downs, cable rows, pull-ups, press-ups, dips, things like that. You get the idea. And it doesn't mean you need to be using barbells specifically. You can use body weight, obviously, with the press-ups, with the pull-ups, with the dips and stuff, or you can equally use machines and you can use dumbbells. But I would definitely prioritize those because they use the biggest muscles, they use multiple muscles when you are doing them as well, and that makes them time efficient. What they also do is that the compound movements have been linked to the release of more human growth hormone. And you're obviously going to want that if you are looking to build muscle. When it comes to the split that you do, like I say, this depends on the number of days that you can kind of dedicate per week. If you can only do 3 days per week, I would do 3 full body workouts. If you can do 4, I would do 2 upper body and 2 lower. So it would work something like on Monday, you do upper body, on Tuesday, you do lower, on Wednesday, you'd rest, and then Thursday, Friday, you'd repeat. Or you could, equally have 2 rest periods and do Friday, Saturday, whatever you wanted to do. If you have 5, I would do a push, legs, pull, rest, upper, lower. The reason I do push, legs, pull rather than push, pull, legs is you're giving your upper body a natural rest in between those days. So you're doing push, legs, pull. It means your upper body is getting a rest, right? And then you're going to rest, and then you're going to do a lower body, and then you're going to do an upper body, okay? If you've got 6 days, you can literally repeat that. Now, obviously, that's going to be pretty taxing. I'm probably talking to the 1% of people here. For context, I do 5 days a week, so I will do push, legs, pull, rest, lower, upper. All right, let's talk a little bit about rest, recovery, and sleep, because if you want your muscles to grow, you are going to need to take days off because your muscles need time. They need time to grow back bigger and stronger. You're also going to want to prioritize your sleep. You've probably heard this before, but let me go into some detail around some of the stuff that you might not have heard, some of the tactics that you can use to increase the quality and the quantity of the sleep so that you actually get the result that you're after. So you want to be in a cold room. So if you don't have a cold room, I'd just invest in a fan on Amazon. It's going to cost you less than $50, £50. Make sure your room is as dark as possible. Invest in good bedding and a comfortable bed, so pillow, mattress. This is going to pay back tenfold because even if you were to spend, I don't know, at the top end, like let's go crazy and say £1,000, for example, that's a lot of money, obviously, but that's going to last you at least 5 years. So that's what, £200 per year. And then if you divide that by 365 days in the week, or sorry, days in the year, nights in the year, that's going to cost you less than £1 per day. But the quality of your sleep is going to pay back so much that you'll probably get bigger, stronger, more confident, live a happier life, earn more money, all these benefits. So it's one of the highest ROI things you can do in life is just invest in good bedding and invest in a good bed. I should actually just say invest in your sleep environment in general. The other thing I would suggest is wearing earplugs to block out any kind of background noise. I do this every single night. And then in terms of your sleep quality, you can use something that I've invented called Wife. To be fair, I thought I invented it. Then I heard it on a very big podcast and I was like, did I invent this? But who cares? It doesn't really matter. I'm going to pass the information on anyway. It's called the 3-2-1 rule. So very straightforward. You stop eating 3 hours before bed. And the reason for this is because eating, digestion, is a metabolic process. And any metabolic process is a process that raises your heart rate, elevates your heart rate because, your body, your organs have to do stuff, right, for your food to be digested. But obviously, sleep is kind of going against that, right? Sleep is where you're in a restorative state. Restorative means that you're in a low heartbeat state. We need your heartbeat coming down to a resting level. And it's not possible when it's digesting, okay? So we want to make sure we're finishing up eating a few hours before we're going to bed. The next thing you want to do is stop drinking anything 2 hours before bed. This is to prevent you waking up in the night. If you're anything like me, I'm now in my mid-30s, and before I started doing this, I was waking up once, if not twice in the night, which is obviously disrupting my sleep to go to the toilet. Now I'll stop drinking 2 hours before, and most nights I sleep pretty much straight through. And then last but not least, the hardest part is the 1 of the 3-2-1 rule. And this is to try and come off of all screens, whether it's phones, laptops, iPads, TVs, whatever it may be, for 1 hour before bed. And this is obviously to block the blue light, which is preventing the production of melatonin, which is your sleep hormone. So I appreciate that rule might not be something that you can enforce exactly 7 days a week, but the more you can do it and the closer you can stick to it, I promise you the quality of your sleep is going to drastically improve. The last point I should say around sleep as well is caffeine intake. So make sure you're not consuming any caffeine after midday, I would say, because caffeine has a half-life, which is the amount of time it takes for half of the caffeine, half of the drug to leave your system, of 6 to 8 hours, depending on the source and the strength. So just don't take the chance on it. Cut the caffeine out after midday. If you still want to drink the coffee, easy hack, just switch to decaf. So you can keep the habit without having the drug, if that makes sense. And then the last point around sleep is regularity. So there's a lot of science that's gone into this. I'm not a neuroscientist, I'm not a sleep specialist, but I listen to a lot of these people and I do it myself, and I can tell you it's true. If you are going to bed and waking up at the same time or within 30 minutes, as much as you can, you will find that your circadian rhythm really comes into alignment and you will just feel so much better throughout the days. Now, as with anything with sleep, like none of this stuff is going to happen overnight. You need to be consistent with it. And that's actually what I kind of want to finish on, is the mindset that you have to undertake what we've talked about today. Because I wouldn't say this to someone trying to lose weight, being honest, but building muscle and doing it the right way, this way, is hard. It's a long process, I'm not going to lie to you, that involves quite a lot of repetition. It really is sort of eat, sleep, train, repeat, basically. But it has a very rewarding endpoint. So I would definitely encourage you to stick to it. And the way to do that is to understand that you're going to need patience, but also help yourself along the way. Gather your data and track your progress. So track your calories, track your protein, track your sleep, track your lifts, how much weight you're actually lifting, how much water you're drinking, and how much sleep you're getting as well. And then take progress photos, weigh yourself, and like I say, track your workouts and the weight that you're lifting. Make a plan and stick to that plan. As long as after 1 month, and not before 1 month, after 1 month, you're starting to see some progress, not all the progress, some progress, and you're having more good days than bad, just keep going. So many guys fail at this stuff because they don't give it enough time for the healthy habits, the benefits to compound into what they see as like progress. This isn't TikTok, you know. You can't be a one-hit wonder. You need to be patient, you need to be consistent, you need to be diligent. Okay, that's it. Bye.